भुवि भुव भरावहं ता Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Welcome everyone to this enlightening program of discussion, reading and discussion on Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. I believe our good friend Vishwakarma Prabhu in Mexico is having some issue with connectivity, which does happen from time to anyone. Here in the mountains in California, it's quite frequent, but today we do have connection. We invite everybody to listen attentively to this class, this reading. It's very important. Since he's not there, I wanted to discuss one or two points before we start. There was a video that has been circulated on Facebook and on the internet regarding some devotees in South India who belong to a fairly successful preaching group, preaching for Śrīla Prabhupāda. And one of the points that was brought up, which has been brought up many times before by various devotees, is that the Ritvik devotees, or whatever name people go by, either Prabhupada or Prabhupada followers, but the term Ritvik has been used several times. They say they're not united. Well, the reality is that to the contrary to the various popular belief, the so-called Ritviks, or whatever name is used, they're united around one thing, that Prabhupada is the Acharya. He is the Diksha Guru because he's giving the transcendental knowledge through his pure instructions in his books. And the Ritviks are committed to promote Śrīla Prabhupada as the supreme authority in all manners. Now, various members of the large ISKCON institution will say, well, we say the same thing, that Prabhupada is the authority. But the difficulty is, while they say one thing, they do another thing. So the Ritvik, to their credits, whatever that term is supposed to mean these days, they're simply engaged in promoting his divine grace, promoting his original, unrevised, unchanged books, trying to follow his instructions to the best of their abilities, and preaching and exclusively worshiping Śrīla Prabhupada in all of their temples, homes, centers of worship, Namhata centers everywhere. But we do know the reality of what is going on the other side. Now, it is not a mystery to everybody on this call and to many millions of devotees and thousands of devotees that many things are coming out, especially on Facebook, on the internet, on various blogs and discussion forums. Many things with regard to the book changes, to the initiation issue, to the mistreatment or alleged mistreatment of devotees, to the molestation and abuse of children and or alleged molestation of children, and many other related issues to the poison issue or alleged poison issue. And it's important to note that this is one of the main points that we are constantly promoting here, that open discussion on any topic, I'm talking about threadbare open discussion, should be encouraged and followed. But that kind of open discussion is not encouraged on the other side. For example, 2 days ago on the internet, somebody posted a quote from Śrīla Prabhupāda. I'm referring to His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupāda, Founder-Ācārya of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. Somebody posted a quote where Śrīla Prabhupada made a clear request: no more sannyas in ISKCON. This was in Bombay, India, Bombay, Maharashtra, India, as it was called in those days, on January 7th, 1977. And Prabhupada stated, no more sannyas in ISKCON. They put that full quote there. Then they put the quote of an ISKCON devotee giving sannyas to somebody else. It was not easy, not difficult to see the contradiction. Prabhupada gives a clear instruction, easy to understand. Devotee contradicts that instruction or disobeys that instruction, and we are quite sure that they have plenty of rationalization. One common rationalization is that, after that, Prabhupada gave sannyas to Bhakti Charu, Bhakti Chaitanya, and Bhakti Prem Yogi, Bhakti Prem Swami. Well, that's Prabhupada's prerogative. He can make exceptions if he wants. That's his choice. But he never changed that instruction. He never gave any other directive changing that instruction, no more sannyas in his society. This is typical of many instructions of Śrīla Prabhupada, which either have been disobeyed, disregarded, or simply ignored. And we at the Hare Krishna Society, Prabhupada Disciples Association, we are trying to follow those instructions. Now, we are not interested in castigating, criticizing, blaspheming, or going on criticizing devotees. That is not our intent. But whenever any issue comes up for discussion, we're not going to shy away or avoid it. Prabhupada's idea was an open society, not a secret society where a few devotees make secret decisions on their political agenda without participating with the devotees, and then they demand everybody's allegiance, which is exactly what took place in 1978 at the first Mayapur festival in March, with their concocted idea that they had been appointed as Prabhupada's successor and Diksha gurus. We do not accept that premise. Why? Because there's no proof for it. In the startling words of one of the participants in that concoction, in Topanga Canyon on December 3rd, 1980, Topanga Canyon is a little city outside of Los Angeles in California, which incidentally was recently almost totally burned down by a fire, a wildfire. There was a statement that this idea of appointed guru is a myth. M-Y-T-H, means a falsehood. It's like believing in Santa Claus or the Bugs Bunny or all kinds of popular fairy tales. Now, it was a very pleasant, convenient fairy tale at the time, and many people fell for it. But we're not interested in constantly regurgitating or going on with all of these discussions. As far as we're concerned, Prabhupada left very clear instruction. In his instruction on July 9th, 1977, how he wanted initiation to be conducted in his society for his followers and future disciples. He made it clear. Now, those with their own personal political agenda, with their own personal aggrandizement agenda, did not follow that instruction. And the result has been chaos. Now, we do know, because the question is often comes up, with all of these things that have happened, what will happen to Lord Chaitanya's movement? Well, Lord Chaitanya's movement is in good hand, because Śrīla Prabhupada is still directing his movement through his instructions, through his Vani, through his pure, transcendental, non-edited books, non-adulterated books. Anyone can understand these books, take shelter of Śrīla Prabhupada, and follow these instructions. As I'm sitting here in this room, I see Mother Rochisa, and just behind her, there's a beautiful picture of Śrīla Prabhupada, who is reading his own book. I do not know if you people know this. When the Nectar of Devotion came out in 1970, one of Śrīla Prabhupada's servants walked in the room, and Prabhupada was reading his own book. So the Prabhupada servant asked Śrīla Prabhupada, paid his obeisances, and asked him, why are you reading your own book? And Prabhupada's reply was, this is not my book. This is Krishna's book. I'm just delivering the message. All of you have seen this picture of Śrīla Prabhupada, where he's sitting at his desk, and behind him there's a picture of Krishna, Vyāsa, Lord Nityananda, and the whole disciplic succession as Prabhupada is writing. Prabhupada did not invent or write his own philosophy. What he's doing is simply delivering the message of the previous Acharya, which previously only Bhaktivedanta Thakur and Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur used the English language to deliver it, but it was the first systematic attempt on a wide scale called the Briyat Mridanga. Śrīla Prabhupada used to often say, if we do kirtan, we play the mridanga. The mridanga you can hear for a few blocks, but the Briyat Mridanga, or the distribution of transcendental devotional literatures, you can hear this all around the world. And this was the unique feature of Śrīla Prabhupada's preaching, that anybody from any position, whether man or woman, whether intelligent or not intelligent, whether rich or poor, in any country of the world can take shelter of this process. It is not difficult. It is not complicated. All it takes is simply to hear. It's important to understand. Somebody saying something? It's important to understand that Prabhupada's philosophy, when he is preaching, he's constantly referring back to a basic fundamental point that you are not this body. You are an eternal spirit soul. In Sanskrit, that is described as Aham Brahmasmi, that I am a spirit soul, not this body, not this material body. But because of conditioning, we tend to forget. We are very attached to this material body and all of its byproducts and the place we are born, the environment we are born. But the reality is that this material body will end at some point. It is not eternal, but the soul will go on. There's a nice example that Prabhupada has given, that in this material world, being encaged and entangled in this material world, being conditioned in this material, is like a bird in a cage. Prabhupada said, in this material world, being in this material body, it is like a bird who is imprisoned in the cage, and sometimes the cage keeper will open the cage and the bird will fly out. But many times what happens, the bird comes right back into the cage. So similarly, in this material world, with this material body, sometimes we get a glimpse of some of this spiritual understanding by the mercy of a pure devotee like Śrīla Prabhupada, great saints, great prophets, great transcendental personalities sent from the spiritual world to deliver the pure message of going back home, back to Godhead. But we are so attached to this illusory material identity that's like the bird keeps coming back to the cage instead of going back to the freedom. So this is the entanglement of the material world. And this is why Prabhupada recommended, read my books, chant Hare Krishna, and read my books. Do not waste time in gossiping and nonsense. So those people that are criticizing, for lack of a better term, the Ritviks, should take note that the Ritviks are very united in accepting Śrīla Prabhupada as the Acharya, promoting Śrīla Prabhupada as the Acharya, and distributing Prabhupada's original unchanged books. That is the united message of all the Ritviks. Whether or not they're all united in one organization, that is irrelevant. What is important is the unity of the message. Just like in the Madhva Sampradaya, they have the original 8 mats that were started by Madhvacharya 900 years ago. Then there's other mats that have also been there. They're all separate mats, but they all have united philosophy of serving Lord Vishnu, Lord Krishna, promoting the teachings of Madhvacharya. Same thing for the Sri Vaishnava Sampradaya. They follow Ramanuja and the Alvars, 12 great saints that were predicted in the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, like King Kulashekar and others. They have the same mode. They have many different acharyas promoting the teachings and all worshiping the central acharya, Sripad Ramanujacharya. Same for the Nimbarka Sampradaya. Same for the Vallabhacharya Sampradaya. In our movement, there's been much dissension, unfortunately, because of disobedience of the instruction and orders of the Acharya. What we have given the example of not taking sannyas, they have disregarded that instruction. Same thing with changing the books. How difficult is that to understand when Prabhupada, on the 22nd of June, 1977, says they cannot change anything. Now, my mother tongue was French in Quebec. I don't have the best understanding of English grammar. I was not very educated. I'm still not very educated. But when Prabhupada says they cannot change anything, despite my lack of proficiency in English, it's not very difficult to understand. I'm sure somebody like Dharma Bhavana or Bhaktinambar Endi, who is a very nice English teacher, can probably understand this better than me. Or when Prabhupada says the next printing, again, should be the original way, that is not a mysterious instruction. It is not complicated to understand. But they will not follow that instruction. Why? Because of false ego. They think they know better than the Acharya. That is why they disobey and neglect the instructions. In the middle 1970s, one devotee wrote to Śrīla Prabhupada complaining about discrepancies in the society. And Prabhupada wrote back that whenever we see that there is any discrepancies, it means that the order and instruction of the spiritual masters are being neglected. Now, it is not a very complicated process. The process of bhakti as given by Śrīla Prabhupada, he made it very simple. You chant Hare Krishna, you offer your foodstuff to Krishna, offer your bhoga to Lord Krishna, you read the books, you follow the Ekadasis, and gradually you will become purified. You will go back to God. It only becomes complicated when people invent and manufacture different interpretations. And I'm sure just like on this call, we have our good friend Ram Raghava Prabhu in Georgia, who is a licensed physician. He's a doctor. And I'm sure he's seen different patients who come. They have different ailments, different diseases, different illnesses. They want some relief. So I'm sure as a physician, he's seen all kinds of people. He'll give them some medication. And, you know, when you give medication to people, they come in different dosages according to the severity of the illness. But sometimes the patient, the doctor will say, you take this for 7 or 10 days, take it a few times a day or 1 time a day, and then I want you to come back and see me so I can see if the situation has gotten better. Well, you know, some patients will follow for 3 or 4 days, then they'll stop taking the medication. I'm sure you've seen this. I have a doctor in Sonora, California. She was telling me the same story. Some patients think they know better than the doctor. Oh, I feel better after 2 days. What's the use of this medication? And then the disease comes back. The illness prolongs itself. So this is the same thing in spiritual life. Śrīla Prabhupada, as a transcendental physician, gives instruction. He gives the knowledge. He gives the recommendation to get cured of this suffering condition of material existence. And just like a good physician like Ram Raghava will prescribe according to the condition of the patient, if we, as sincere, faithful disciples, follow the instruction of the transcendental physicians, then we will get better. We will understand. We will eventually go back to Krishna. So these are just a few thoughts for today. We will proceed with our reading of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. I don't know exactly what text we're supposed to read today, but let me go and see on the email here, see exactly what text we have.
It's 1:6:24. And should I go ahead and start the Jai Radha Madhava?
That would be very good. Excellent. Thank you kindly. 1:6:24.
Sai. Jaya Radha Madhava Punya Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Punya Bihari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Jaya Radha Madhava Punya Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Punya Bihari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Yaśodā-nandana Dāsa. Yaśodā-nandana Jamuna Tira Vanachari. Jamuna Tira Samad Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupāda ki jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnavrinda ki jai. Nāma-Acārya Śrīla Haridas Thakur ki jai. Prem se kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Śrīvāsa Adi Gaur Bhaktivinoda ki jai. Shri Radha Krishna Gaur Gopinath Sam Kund Radha Kund Giridhar ki jai. Vrindavan Dham ki jai. Navadvip Dham ki jai. Swami Bhaktivinoda ki jai. Ganga Mai ki jai. Jamuna Mai ki jai. Tulasi Devi ki jai. Bhakti Devi ki jai. Swami Bhaktivinoda ki jai. All glories to the assembled Lord. All glories to the assembled Lord. Thank you very much.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. O my Lord, Sri Krishna, the son of Vasudeva, the all-pervading personality of Godhead, I offer my respectful obeisances unto you from Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam 1:1:1. Nārayanam namaskritya Nārayanam namaskritya Naram chaiva narottamam Naram chaiva narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyāsam Devim Saraswatim Vyāsam Tato Jayam Mudirayet Tato Jayam Mudirayet. One should utter the means of conquest, Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, after offering respectful obeisances, 1, to the personality of Godhead, Narayana, 2, to the Narayana Rishi, who is the supremmost human being, 3, to the Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, then 4, to Śrīla Vyāsadeva, the author, from Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam 1-4. Welcome everyone to this reading and discussion on Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. As we do every week, we read a few selected verses from the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam itself, explaining the meaning and the benefit of hearing this powerful transcendental literature. This is from the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 2. We start from text 15. Yadanudhyasina yukta Karmagranti nibandanam Chindanti kovidastasya Kona kuryat kataratim. Intelligent persons do cut off the internet of the knot of reactionary work by remembrance of the personality of Godhead. Therefore, who will not give attention to his message? Shushrushoho Shraddhadanasya Vasudeva Kataruchihi Syan Mahatsevaya Vipra Punyatirtha Nishevanat. O the twice-born sages, by serving those devotees who are completely freed from all ranges of vice, a standard of great service is done. And as the result of such great service, affinity in the message of Vasudeva is made possible. Srinvatam svakata Krishna punyashravana kirtana hridyantasto yabadrani vidunoti suritsatam. Sri Krishna, the personality of Godhead, who is also the Paramatma in everyone's heart and the benefactor of the truthful devotee, thus plants the desire for material enjoyment in the heart of the devotee, who has developed the urge for hearing his, Krishna's messages, which are themselves virtuous when properly heard and chanted. Nashta prayeshu vabhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki. By regular attendance in the Bhagavatam class or rendering service unto the pure devotees, all that is inauspicious in the heart of a candidate becomes destroyed almost to nil, and thus loving service unto the personality of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental song, comes into being an irrevocable fact. Tadarajastamo bhava kamalo bhadayaschaye chitayete ranaviddam stitam sattvi prasidati. As soon as irrevocable loving service is picked up in one's heart, at that time the effects of the nature's mode of passion and ignorance, such as lust, desire and hankerings, etc., do disappear from one's heart, and he becomes fixed up in a mode of goodness, which makes him completely happy. Evam prasanna manaso Bhagavad Bhakti Yogataha Bhagavad Tattva Vijnanam Mukta Sangasya Jayate. Thus, when one is positively fixed up in a mode of unalloyed goodness, the enlivened-minded man affected by contact of devotional service of the Lord can positively know scientific knowledge of the personality of Godhead in the stage of liberation from all material association. Vidyate hridaya grantis chidyante sarva samshaya shiyante chasya karmani drishta evatmanishvare. The knot of one's heart is thus pierced, and all misgivings are cut into pieces. The chain of fruitive actions are terminated along with the seeing of oneself, the dominating factor. We will proceed with our specific verse for today. We are reading from Canto 1, Chapter 6, Text 24. It should be noted that all synonyms, translations, and purports are from His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupāda, Founder-Ācārya of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, also known as the Krishna Consciousness Movement. Text number 24. Matir mayi nibadayam navipadyita karichit prajasarga niredopi smritischa madanugrahat. Matir, intelligence, mayi, devoted to me, nibadda, engaged, iyam, thus, na, never, vipadyeta, separate, karichit, at any time, praja, living being, beings, sarge, at the time of creation, nirode, also at the time of annihilation, api, even, smriti, remembrance, cha, and, mad, mind, anugrahat, by the mercy of, translation by Śrīla Prabhupāda. Thus, intelligence engaged in my devotion can never be separated at any time, even at the time of creation as well as at the time of annihilation of the living beings. Your remembrance will continue by my mercy. Purport by His Divine Grace, Śrīla Prabhupāda. Any devotional service rendered to the cause of personality of Godhead never goes in vain. The personality of Godhead being eternal, intelligence applied in His service or anything done in His relation is also permanent. In the Bhagavad Gita, it is said that such transcendental service rendered unto the personality of Godhead accumulates birth after birth of the devotees. And when they are fully matured, the total service counted together makes one eligible to enter into the association of the personality of Godhead. Such accumulation of God's service never vanquishes, but increases till fully matured. Text number 25. Itavadukto uptaprama dattad mahat adbhutam nabolingam alingam ishvaram ahanancha tasme mahatam mahiyase Krishna abananam briyad me anukampita. Itavad, thus, ukta, spoken, upararama, stop, tat, that, mahat, great, adbhutam, wonderful, nabolingam, personified by sound, alingam, unseen by the eyes, Ishwaram, the supreme authority, aham, I, cha, also, tasme, unto him, mahatam, the great, mahiyase, unto the glorified, shirshna, by the head, bidade, executed, abananam, obeisances, anukampitaha, being favored by him. Translation by Śrīla Prabhupāda. Thus spoken, that supreme authority personified by sound and unseen by the eyes, but wonderful, stopped speaking, and myself on my part, feeling a sense of gratitude, offered my obeisances unto him by my head. Purport. The personality of Godhead, although he was not seen, but heard only, that does not make any difference. The personality of Godhead produced the four Vedas by his breathing, and he is seen and realized through the transcendental sound of the Vedas. Similarly is the Bhagavad Gita. Gita is the sound representation of the Lord, and there is no difference in identity. The conclusion is that the Lord can be seen and heard persistently by chanting the transcendental sound. Text number 26. Namani anantasya atatapapatan kuhyani bhadrani kritani chasmaran gam paryatam stutapmana gataspriha kalam pratiksham vimada vimatsaraha. Namani, the holy name, fame, etc. Anantasya, of the unlimited. Hatatrapaha, being freed from the formalities of the material world. Patan, by recitation like repeated reading. Guhyani, mysterious. Kritani, activities. Badrani, all benedictory. Smaran, constantly remembering. Gam, on the earth. Paryatan, traveling. Although. Stuta mana, fully satisfied. Gataspriha, completely freed from all material desires. Kalam, time. Pratikshan, awaiting. Vimada, without being proud. Vimatsara, without being envious also. Translation. Thus, I began chanting the holy name and fame of the Lord by repeated recitation and without any formalities of the material world. Such chanting and remembering of the transcendental pastimes of the Lord are all benedictory, and so doing I travel all over the earth, fully satisfied and without being proud or envious. Purport by Śrīla Prabhupāda. The life of a sincere devotee of the Lord is thus explained in a nutshell by Nārada Muni by his personal example. Such devotee, after his initiation from the Lord, or by his bona fide representative, takes very seriously chanting of the glories of the Lord, and traveling all over the world so that others may also hear the glories of the Lord. Such devotees have no other desire for anything like material gain, but they are conducted by one and single desire for going back to Godhead, which awaits them in due course on quitting the material body. Because they have the highest aim of life for going back to Godhead, they are never envious of anybody. Neither they are proud of being eligible for going back to Godhead. Their only business is to chant and remember the holy name, fame, pastimes of the Lord, and according to one's personal capacity, to distribute the message for others' welfare without any motive of material gain. Om Ajnana Timirandhasya Jnanam Janashalakaya Chakshurun Miritam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Bhakti Siddhanta Shishyaya Bhaktivedanta Namine Prasannaya Prashantaya Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Bhagavad Vandanam Kadyam Guru Vandana Purvakam Kshiram Sarkara Yuktam Kadati Visheshatah Adadana Strinam Danter Idam Yache Punaha Punaha Srimadrupa Padam Bhoja Dhulishyam Janma Janmani Amsho Bhagavato Smyaham Sadadasu Asmi Sarabata Tat Kripa Pikshako Nityam Tat Prishta Shatkaromisvam Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrindam Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. It's important to note that in these various texts, there's a lot of very important points that are being raised here. We see throughout Śrīla Prabhupāda's purports in the Bhagavatam that Prabhupada is often discussing various topics from many different angles, from many different points of view. And this is very important because in order to understand spiritual knowledge, one has to study the Siddhanta. Siddhanta means conclusive knowledge, Siddha-anta. And that conclusive knowledge is given, explained by the great Acharyas. Because we don't just study the Shastra, the text of the Shastra. We study the Shastra with the purports and the explanation of Śrīla Prabhupada and the great Acharyas. We had the good fortune a few times to watch Śrīla Prabhupada at night translating his books. The way this was done by Śrīla Prabhupada, he had a very large Sanskrit book, about 6, 7, 8 inches thick, with all the different Sanskrit purports of all the Acharyas on the Bhagavatam. Very large book. The commentary of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, Bhaktivinoda Thakur's explanation, Vishwanath Chakrabarti's commentary, the commentary of Jiva Goswami, Sanatan Goswami, all the Acharyas of the Ramanuja Sampradaya, Madhva Sampradaya, Vallabhacharya Sampradaya, and all so many different commentators on the Bhagavatam. And Prabhupada would explain this by condensing, by taking the essence of all these purports and rendering it into the English language so that it would be understood by people of the English language. Now, this was the instruction that he received from his own Guru Maharaj in 1936. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur departed on the last day of December 1936. And Śrīla Prabhupada had written him a letter a few weeks before asking him what service he could do. And Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada just gave him the same instruction that he had given to Śrīla Prabhupada the first time that he met Śrīla Prabhupada in Calcutta, that you should preach this message in English to the Western countries. And this is what Prabhupada did with his books, his transcendental books. Prabhupada was not interested in starting some kind of a line of caste Brahmins, claiming monopoly on spiritual advancement. Śrīla Prabhupada, what he wanted to do and what he did was deliver the message of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu according to the instruction of the previous Acharya. He did not invent his own philosophy. He did not invent his own interpretation. He just gave the message exactly as he heard it from Srila Bhaktisiddhanta. We see in text number 24 in the purport, Prabhupada described, in the Bhagavad Gita, it is said that such transcendental service rendered unto the personality of Godhead, text 24, okay, rendered unto the personality of Godhead accumulates birth after birth of the devotees, and then when they are fully matured, the total service counted together makes one eligible to enter into the association of the personality of Godhead. Such accumulation of God service never vanquishes, but increases till fully matured. And at this point, I wanted to refer to Bhagavad Gita, chapter 7, text number 19. This is a very important text to understand. Bahunam janmanamante yanaman mam prapadyate vasudeva sarvamiti Samahatma Sudurlabhaha, Bhagavad Gita, chapter 7, text 19. After many births and deaths, he who is actually in knowledge surrenders unto me, knowing me to be the cause of all causes and all that is. Such a great soul is very rare. Prabhupada explains in the purport, the living entity, while executing devotional service or transcendental rituals after many, many births, may actually become situated in transcendental pure knowledge that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is the ultimate goal of spiritual realization. In the beginning of spiritual realization, while one is trying to give up one's attachment to materialism, there is some leaning towards impersonalism. But when one is further advanced, he can understand that there are activities in the spiritual life, and that these activities constitute devotional service. Realizing this, he becomes attached to the Supreme Personality of Godhead and surrenders to him. At such a time, one can understand that Lord Sri Krishna's mercy is everything. That he is the cause of all causes, and that this material manifestation is not independent from him. He realizes the material world to be a perverted reflection of spiritual variegatedness, and realizes that in everything there is a relationship with the Supreme Lord Krishna. Thus, he thinks of everything in relation to Vasudeva or Sri Krishna. Such a universal vision of Vasudeva precipitates one's full surrender to the Supreme Lord Sri Krishna as the highest goal. Such surrender great souls are very rare. This verse is very nicely explained in the 3rd chapter of Shveta Upanishad. In this body, there are powers of speaking, of seeing, of hearing, of mental activities, etc. But these are not important if not related to the Supreme Lord. And because Vasudeva is all-pervading and everything is Vasudeva, the devotee surrenders in full knowledge. There's also reference to Bhagavad Gita 7:17 and 11:40. The point here being, just like we hear in the Nectar of Devotion, Prabhupada, that usually one cannot take to the process of devotional service unless he's done this in a past life. There's an interesting story one time. A few devotees went to Śrīla Prabhupada and asked him, well, what about this Ravi Shankar? How can he play the sitar? For those of you who have some experience in musical training, playing the sitar is not easy. It is a very difficult instrument to master. So they asked Śrīla Prabhupada, how did he get to play so expertly in this life? Prabhupada said that is because he's been playing like that for 7 lifetimes. Of course, we can't verify any of this, but it's to be understood that in this material world, one sometimes will take many births to continue the pursuit of materialism. So the greatest fortune is to take a birth and make some spiritual advancement under the direction of the bona fide spiritual master to go back to Godhead. If you look at Prabhupada's letters, every time Prabhupada wrote a letter, he always wrote, your well-wisher. Always your well-wisher. Śrīla Prabhupada was eternally the well-wisher of everyone. And this is very important to understand, because the pure devotee does not have any personal material desires. He only desires the best for all living entities. This is a very important point to understand. When we study Prabhupada's teachings and the life of Śrīla Prabhupada, his dedication, his sacrifices, everything he did was the pursuit of Krishna consciousness to benefit living entities. Despite all inconveniences, heart attacks, and many persons who came to him with various motivations, Prabhupada just continued in his mission to deliver the message as he had received it from the previous Acharya and his dear Guru Maharaj, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. I see that our good friend and our host, Vishwakarma Prabhu, is back. Hopefully the connection has been reestablished, which it did. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Please go ahead, Prabhu. Cannot hear you.
Thank you very much. I managed to stumble forward despite the breakdown of the internet here. And I'm glad to be back. I'm so eager to be a part of this wonderful group of Vaishnavas who are focused on the legacy of Śrīla Prabhupada and protecting it. And just before we go ahead, I wanted to mention very poignantly Yaśodā-nandana Prabhu, that Ravi Shankar came to Toronto Rath-yatra in 1976. And I think it was 76 or 77, whatever. We had a very big Rath-yatra program there. Nowadays, we switched the Rath-yatra from going up to City Hall. I decided, let's go to Toronto Island and we'll make an adventure. And it became an adventure. Now they have 40 or 50,000 people every year come to Rath-yatra. So I think it was maybe 74. I had elephants. I hired some elephants to march in the parade down the street. And I was running around organizing with this horn and this and that. And the devotees came up to me and says, Ravi Shankar wants to meet you. I went, oh, because he is a world famous. And we met in front of the carts. And he shook my hand. And in his hand, there was a $50 bill. And the $50 bill slipped out of his hand into my hand. And I took it and told him, I'll give that to Lord Jagannath. Hare Krishna, thank you very much. So Prabhupada understood that material life, you can become very successful, you can become very famous, you can become very rich, but it's all temporary. It doesn't mean anything. So where is Ravi Shankar now? That's up to Krishna. But he got blessed by giving something to Lord Jagannath. And I have proof. I was there and met this so-called famous musician. Of course, I've met many famous musicians in my life. I met Jimi Hendrix. Unfortunately, I didn't know about Krishna at that time, so I couldn't bless him with Harinam. But my point is this, Prabhu, that I'm constantly thinking at this situation in Mexico here. Gopal had a nightmare last night because he's physically very sick. And I'm here with him on his journey and of departure. And I'm thinking about this verse from the Bhagavad Gita as an old man puts on new garments, giving up, or a man puts on new garments, giving up the old and useless ones. So the spirit soul accepts a new body to give up the old and useless one. So if you look at Paul, Yaśodā-nandana, if you look at him, the body is used up. Now, he's not thinking that. He's thinking, I'll survive. I told him this morning, before I came I was trying to get on the program, but before I was endeavoring for that, I met with him because he was worried. And I could see he's got a huge, elongated gut. It's expanded. He hasn't eaten in 6 weeks. He hasn't evacuated in 6 weeks. All the symptoms of deterioration are there, but he's thinking in his mind, well, I go for the operation, maybe I'll get better and I'll revive myself. Okay, well, true, you may revive yourself, or you may be leaving because you don't die. Death is only a change of bodies. When someone gets to a certain point, the body becomes old and useless, just like all of us. We're all getting old. Look what happened. There was this Gene Hackman fellow. He's a famous actor, Prabhu's. A famous actor, a very good one, and very rich, very famous. And he was dead with his wife for 2 weeks in his house in the South, and nobody discovered his body. Obviously, no one really cared about him, did they? Well, how could they care if no one was there? Even though he had tens of millions of dollars, he had all this fame. He and his wife died in isolation in their house. And it took over a week for someone to discover this person died. We're born alone, we die alone. It's our responsibility to rise above the clouds, our responsibility. And so they found out his wife died from some kind of rat disease. And she had died a week before he died. And she was dead in the house with him, and he was still alive. And at 95 years of age, he had a heart attack a week later and died, and therefore goodbye, by himself. No Harinam, no Hare Krishna, no association of devotees, nothing. Zero. Tens of millions of dollars in the bank, all material fame. And what does it add up to? Zero. Prabhupada said that, a simple example. Material life is a bunch of zeros. If you take one Krishna and put it in front of you, your whole life is worth everything. Without Krishna, your life is worth zero. That's reality, and we're seeing it, all of us. Now, I'm blessed to be here, in a sense. I mean, this is not fun, but it's a realization in real time. Like people say, well, another point here that we want to make, and Yaśodā and I have discussed this in detail, that these people are coming forward and saying, well, how come you guys don't unify and work with other people, you Ritviks? Why don't you work with other people, you Prabhupada Nugas? Okay, well, I always say this, Prabhus, to all of us in this group. I'm not a Ritvik, and I'm not a Prabhupada Nuga. And my colleagues are not those either. We're Prabhupada disciples, period. Now the person's trolling on our line, coming and talking, well, what's the third group? Why don't you guys unify and be together and work together? Well, what's the work? Prabhupada Vani, that's the work, my friend. It's not about number of followers. Oh yeah, by the way, everyone, just so you know, our group is expanding. Yes, it is. Slowly. But we're not looking for members in a sense. Oh yes, we want people to join. But if you're just going to be whimsical in your behavior, go join another camp. That's okay. And you follow your path and you develop yourself. You can go to be a Christian. You can go to grade school. Go back to grade school, if that's okay. Because what we're presenting is Prabhupada's presentation of the highest knowledge. We're not Christians. If you want to be, we've had a few people that come to us recently, and they're Christians, and they're preaching the Bible. Oh, Jesus said that. Jesus said, well, go be a good Christian. If you want to be a Muslim, go be a Muslim. That's okay. And you'll progress. You'll go forward. You'll become more advanced by your sincerity of purpose. And you'll take birth again. And maybe you'll be blessed to become a devotee of Krishna. And above all, maybe you'll be blessed to become a servant of Śrīla Prabhupāda, which is the highest position in the universe. You were mentioning, it's very interesting, someone may recall their previous birth, that Prabhupada said, yes, that Ravi Shankar, he had been a musician for 7 births. Okay. Well, we could ask our question, well, how the heck did we end up here? How the heck did Yaśodā become infatuated with Prabhupada when he first saw him at Expo in 67, eh, Prabhu? How did you become infatuated with that? Well, I'll predict for him, because he won't say it, because he was a devotee in his previous life. That's why. It's not by chance or by accident that we were pulled out of the material world by Prabhupada and Lord Chaitanya. Pulled out of the material world. I think about myself in a certain circumstance. I was in, and I talked about that the other day, how I became the janitor in Hamilton to clean the bathrooms for the temple. Before that, I was very well known in my own local area as a famous musician with Uttama Shloka. We were known. So people were giving us all kinds of respect everywhere we went. We were like the miniature little celebrities. And all of a sudden I'm cleaning the toilets for the Hare Krishnas and people are looking at me. This Bobby Hebert has gone crazy. He's insane. What the hell are you doing? You used to be on the street. You used to be in all the clubs, the sold out shows, opening with the Cream, Bob Seger, Steve Miller, Ted Nugent, all these people. You were riding up, you were signed with Liberty Records, and then poof, goodbye. And my head's shaved. I'm running on the street chanting Hare Krishna, and people are thinking, these guys have gone crazy. So somehow or other, we've been engaged in this mission to protect Prabhupada's legacy. Let me ask everybody in this group today, how important do you think this service is compared to Donald Trump? MAGA, Make America. This guy is interested in one thing, nationalism. When I was in university, we studied about international politics. So what? Is nationalism a good thing? Prabhupada never wanted us to think, I'm an American, I'm a Canadian, I'm an Indian, I'm rich, I'm poor, I'm wealthy. Any of these designations, these are Maya, illusion. And we live in the world of Maya, we live in the world of confusion, and we live in the world of pain and suffering. Yes, not now. Wait. So, sorry, just someone here is going to turn on the juice machine. I'm going to finish up. This Krishna Consciousness movement, this opportunity to hear and chant in association with like-minded devotees is what we're about, the Vani incarnation. We're not trying to say we're the top group. No. All of the groups are good. The criteria for greatness is your association with Prabhupada in his Vani incarnation. And that's what we want. We want a SWAT team of Prabhupada disciples that preach this, not try to be some kind of big shot with big temples. You get temples. We know about temples. Yaśodā and I, he helped to build new Krishna Balaram. And the Toronto temple. Yeah, okay. And these people want to get new temples. And what are you going to get when you do a new temple? You're going to get a lot of problems. You're going to have a lot of politics. Look, when I was in Toronto, the East Indian group, they planted guns in the building and tried to get me arrested. And my godbrother, Murli Krishna, was put in jail. That's what the game was. They went on television and radio. We had over 800 articles against us because politics, money, problems. Our politics is Prabhupada Vani, and we want to promote that in this group as our main focus and the protection of the legacy of A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupāda. And this is the most important thing going on in this world beyond Donald Trump. Go ahead, Yaśodā. Sorry, everybody. You get a bit intense.
Some very good points are being raised here. I'm going to continue with our reading and study of the Lilamrita Review. We're on page number 5.
Yeah.
We're going to read a few quotations explaining Śrīla Prabhupāda's position. Next page. Therefore, this is a quotation from Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, Canto 8, Chapter 3, Text 2. Therefore, a devotee who engages in the service of the Supreme Lord and who constantly thinks of him should never be considered to have a material body. It is therefore enjoined Gurushu Naramati. One should stop thinking of the spiritual master as an ordinary human being with a material body. We have humbly endeavored to explain to some small degree, with reference to Śrīla Prabhupāda's books, the status of His Divine Grace's so-called material body. Yet, the Lilamrita does not tally with these quotations. To write a biography of the pure devotee telling how the spiritual master is influenced by material elements is similar to writing a description of the deity in the temple as being a mundane statue. Śrīla Prabhupada writes, this is from Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam again, canto 8, chapter 3, text 2, Acharya Vino Vishnu Shiladihi. Everyone knows that the deity in the temple is made of stone, but to think of the deity is merely stone is an offense. Similarly, to think that the body of the spiritual master consists of material ingredients is offensive. Atheists think that the devotees foolishly worship a stone statue as God and an ordinary man as the guru. Next, one must see things as they are through the mercy of a spiritual master. Otherwise, if one tries to see Krishna directly, he may mistake an ordinary man for Krishna and Krishna for an ordinary man. Everyone has to see Krishna according to the verdict of the Vedic literatures presented by the self-realized spiritual master from Madhya Lila, chapter 18, text 99. The Lilamrita was researched by several disciples who interviewed karmis who think the bona fide spiritual master to be, at least in some respects, an ordinary man. Then quote from Madhya Lila, chapter 16, text 72. Intermingling the spiritual with the material causes one to look on transcendence as material and mundane as spiritual. All this is due to a poor fund of knowledge. The Lilamrita mixes quotes by Śrīla Prabhupada, neophyte disciples, bloop devotees, karmis, and mayavadis. Regarding transcendental literature, His Divine Grace writes, he, Krishnadas Kaviraj, never claims to have written this transcendental literature by carrying out research work. This is the way of describing transcendental literatures which are never meant for so-called scholars or research workers. This is from Madhya Lila, chapter 8, text 322. To know about the Supreme Personality of Godhead and the characteristic of His pure devotees, one must inquire from authorities like Devarishi Nārada. One cannot inquire about transcendental subject matters from a layman, from Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam 7:4-44. So we can go on, open the discussion if you can.
Yes, I wanted to clarify for everyone that we're going to be publishing this literature that has been compiled by Yaśodā-nandana in the future, because it's important for people to get a correct understanding of Prabhupada's transcendental pastimes. And Prabhupada never authorized a biography. This was some kind of project that our godbrothers developed. But in it, there are many mistakes, many errors. And this literature that we'll be producing with Hare Krishna Society, PDA, will clarify Prabhupada's correct position as the eternal servant and bona fide representative of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj. So this is very important. Yes, Prabhu, please.
Also, besides this little book, we've published another little booklet, which is actually coming from Italy. It's being printed in Italy.
Yes.
This is a little booklet called The Unique Historical Position of His Divine Grace Śrīla Prabhupāda, which explains, but with different quotations from Śrīla Prabhupada himself, what is the position of a Nitya Siddha, eternal liberated devotee from the spiritual world? This was written by my lowly self and Narasimha Prabhu, and Vijay Pandit in Italy has managed to get the printing. He's coming here in a few weeks, I think next week, and he's going to be bringing some of these booklets, and PDA will be distributing this booklet along with this new booklet called The Complete Guide to Self-Realization, which is being written as we write. And we're very happy we've just heard yesterday that Bhakti Amber from Texas has also volunteered to help. She's a very expert English teacher with considerable expertise in editing and, you know, these kind of skills, which I personally don't have. So, but we look forward to this project. Anybody who is interested in helping, please contact Vishwakarma Prabhu or myself. And we will, once we receive these little booklets of the unique historical position of Śrīla Prabhupada, we'll make them available for distribution, and we'll look forward to your help and participation. Now we can open the discussion.
Okay, so further, I wanted to mention there is another Bhakta Ryan, who is also a graduate of research and development. And I've already designated a project for him for part of the section of our literature, the complete guide to self-realization. Because when I first joined the movement, we only had one book. That was the Blue Gita. It was stolen out of the Mac library by Vishnu Dutt. Remember Vishnu Dutt Yaśodā?
Yeah.
He joined when he was 14 years of age. 14. And he went to India and he learned how to play the mridanga. He was like at the same level as Achyutananda. Remember, Achyutananda did really good on the mridanga and the kirtan. Mm-hmm. And Vishnu Dutt was on. He's from Hamilton. We had 18 Prabhupada disciples from Hamilton. 18. So the point is this, that we're going ahead with this complete guide, and Ryan is compiling the Dhams, because we didn't know what the Dhams were. We didn't know Dwarka. We never had the Krishna book. We didn't know Kurukshetra. We didn't know Vrindavan Dham. We didn't know about Jagannath Puri. We didn't know about Mayapur Navadvip. So people start reading their books. They're like, what is all this? So this will, with the help of Bhakta Ryan and our other people, he's already got a draft. I'm going to look at it once my computer situation becomes rectified, and then I'll forward it over to you, Yaśodā, of course, our senior editor. And so that is part of the section of these books. And along with that, we're going to have all the introductions from Prabhupada's books. The introduction of the Gita, the introduction of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, the life of Lord Chaitanya, the introduction in Chaitanya Charitamrita, and the closing remarks where Prabhupada stresses the Vani incarnation. Complete background into this transcendental world of understanding. Not like when we joined, we had no idea. I didn't even know what the name Vishwakarma meant when I got my initiation. It took me 2 days to figure it out. Who is that? I still was confused. So, opportunity for us to expand, not try to use Prabhupada's books to make us gurus and us collect disciples. See what's happened, everyone? They distribute a book from Prabhupada and they say, by the way, I'm the next one. Come become my disciple. No, that is wrong. Why can't you make devotees and direct them to Śrīla Prabhupada? We're also going to deal with Guru Tattva, Yaśodā. We're ready. We're moving ahead with this. And it's not going to be a book. It's going to be volumes. This is going to be long, maybe 3 volumes. I'm pushing Rupa Goswami to work faster with us so we can give you more information. Anyway, Dharma Bhavana in Dallas, Texas. I'm sorry I missed you yesterday. Our class went into a different direction. Maybe you could share a few realizations. Go ahead.
Let me see. Wait a second here. Okay, thank you, Hare Krishna. Trying to get my mute working. Yeah, at first I was going to speak a little bit about Ekadasi today, how if someone wants to go to the big Indian stores, there's a puja section with all kind of different nuts, which are made into where you can make things like Ekadasi Kitri, Ekadasi Halava. But then we were talking a lot in the class today on a little bit different subject. So I thought I'd mention how in America, you have these big March stores, 300,000 square feet. And about 30 years ago, the founder had some kind of a prescription how to continue the whole thing after he passed away. So he passed away, and the children didn't exactly follow his instructions. They kind of made the whole thing into a huge multinational corporation with much bigger stores. So in that way, if we look at it from a business point of view, they improved upon what the original founder had. But in the case of Śrīla Prabhupāda being on the level of kind of Madhvacharya, Ramanujacharya, coming from the spiritual world, if the disciples try to improve and change the instructions, it becomes so much displeasing to Krishna and just full of darkness. And we study this thing over and over again, year after year, and it becomes so dark and terrible what happens if people disobey the instructions of Śrīla Prabhupada. And someone may say, well, that was way back. He was living in the 1970s. But most of the instructions Prabhupada gave her could be considered eternal instructions, like don't change anything. Just keep my formula. That could be for tens of thousands of years that can work without changing the formula of hearing and chanting and honoring the Acharya and his instructions. So I just wanted to make those few comments here. I like the class today because it talked about these, most important ideas of continuing Prabhupada's Vani. Thank you, Hare Krishna.
Yes. And these affirmations with our membership are meant to solidify everyone's conviction and determination to follow this path of taking shelter of the sound vibration of Śrīla Prabhupada in Bhakti Yoga. This is a yoga process. It's not the highest yoga process. It's not about asana pranayama. It's about listening and being humble, staying humble, because we're so blessed with this great mission. And with Dharma Bhavana, when you have this mission, what else do you need? You need nothing except to work forward so that we succeed. This is not about who is the top Rittvik group in the world. This is Bhakti Yoga. This isn't about being famous or being successful or having thousands of followers. No, it's not about that. And thank you very much, Ambra, Eddie. We've been searching for you. I was trying to get, by the way, Dharma Bhavana, could you send me your phone number again? I can't seem to find it in my catalog of phone numbers on my phone and this and that, but I need it. I was wanting to get a hold of you so we could get a hold of Amber. So thank you, Amber, for stepping up, and anyone else who wants to be a part of this on any level. We've got all kinds of projects that we're doing, and everything needs a land, labor, and capital, every project. And we've learned that from Prabhupada. And this is the way it goes on. Let's go to Krishna Katha in San Diego, sort of. How are you, Krishna Katha? Maybe you could share a few comments this morning. See there? Let's see. He's usually he's not.
Bruce, I'm dealing with something with my mom. I am listening, but it's not a good time for me to talk. I wish all the devotees, you know, I just can't. I'm busy right now. I'm so sorry.
Okay, no problem. No problem. You're listening, and that's all right. Yaśodā-nandana Prabhu, if you could further explain.
Well, one very important point here I want to make is we do know in the Chaitanya Bhagavata, there's a prediction that the Lord Chaitanya said that his name would be spread to every village, every town, every farm in the world. And we do know that in order to do that, because some parts of the world, it's a little difficult to really openly preach. So we do know there will have to be some changes in the current social, political structure in a lot of countries to be able to introduce the chanting and the preaching. And there probably will have to be major reforms within the Krishna consciousness movement to really facilitate this. Because right now, on account of the whimsical ways of some misguided individuals, the movement has been fractured, has been disunited on account of disobedience of the Acharya's instruction. So the point is, it will be spread because it's been predicted by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself. It will be spread. The point is, our part should be to present Śrīla Prabhupāda's instruction and give the message to everybody we meet. Just like we do know, we have a good friend, Dasavatar Prabhu in Australia, has a very good friend, Shyamasundar, who distributes samosas. He makes hundreds and hundreds of samosas, and he has a shop in northeastern Australia, I believe, where he distributes books. He distributes the samosas and different sweets and everything, and he preaches that way. A very nice, exemplary, beautiful preaching programs. And there's numerous other preaching programs that people have that I do know. So it's important that preaching can be done in a lot of ways, just like everybody is going to meet people at a grocery store, the gas station. You have some relatives, get some books and give them some books. You can preach. Recently, I met somebody and he did something for me, and I gave him a little book, a little Perfection of Yoga. I said, this is a great book of wisdom. I said, you read it. It's very, very beneficial for you. And he was looking at the cover, looking back and forth. Says, oh, thank you, thank you. Another time, I gave somebody a little pocket Bhagavad Gita. And there's a lot of ways to preach. I mean, this is no longer just on the sidewalk, trying to give somebody a piece of incense and inviting them to the Sunday feast. But you're going to meet people every week, every day, to try to give them some connection to Prabhupada and Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, all glories to Śrīla Prabhupada. And we want to thank everyone for attending today's program. If you missed it, go back on the YouTube channel and catch the show again. And we have a lot of people attending, a lot more than usual or used to, Yaśodā-nandana Prabhu, because we have a list of 10 to 15 to 20 people on YouTube watching the show directly live, and then hundreds of people coming at their convenience to see the shows that are on our YouTube channel, Hare Krishna Society YouTube. So suggest to people to subscribe to the channel. And in this way, you can be in contact with this, and this can become part of your weekly sadhana program of hearing Prabhupada's lectures, of studying his books, of cooking prasadam, offering it, and distributing it to others, and carrying on in your journey back home, back to Godhead, on this opportunity to associate with all of us in the Prabhupada Disciples Association, Hare Krishna Society. And we're going to be back next week on Thursday. I'm thinking, Prabhu, we're going to talk about it. I want to discuss it with a few people. We had changed our date from a Wednesday to a Thursday, but as a result, so many people dropped off, like Shyamasundar. We haven't seen him. They dropped off because it didn't suit their schedule. So we had quite a few people drop off the Thursday night program. And I'm thinking, because our advertisements are all Wednesday on the show, and plus our cards that we hand out, I'll discuss it with Yaśodā-nandana. We'll decide if we're going to go back to a Wednesday, so that no one is discouraged by this. Oh, and there Ram Raghava can host Wednesday. So we'll probably make the announcement that we're going to go back to Wednesday with Ram Raghava. And then in your subscription, it'll come up, and then we'll send that subscription. It'll appear on a Wednesday. The notice will come to you. So this is, yes, Prabhu, please.
Just want to note, I noticed Narasimha Prabhu just came on the program.
Yeah.
He may have been listening the whole time. He's the one that edited and compiled that little booklet. I just got a few quotes together, but he did all the hard work. That little booklet that's coming up, The Unique Historical Position of Śrīla Prabhupada. The book has been printed. It's on its way to California with Vijay Pandit Prabhu, and it'll be made available. And we encourage, if anybody wants to give donations or help with the printing, you're more than welcome. So next time that we have a program, probably within the next 2 weeks, we will be presenting this book. It's not a very big book, probably 35, 45 pages or so, but it has a lot of very important statements from Śrīla Prabhupada explaining the position of a Nitya Siddha pure devotee coming from the spiritual world, a theme that we repeatedly preach on this program and constantly emphasize. So that will be coming up soon. So, and we thanks everybody for participating in these various classes and endeavors. Please invite your friends, and we're very happy to announce various programs and initiatives and keep on with the preaching. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Did we lose Vishwakarma? No.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama.
us offer our respectful obeisances to all the assembled Vaishnava devotees. Vanchakalpa tarubhyascha kripa sindubhya evacha patitanam pavanibhyo Vaishnavibhyo namo namaha. I offer my respectful obeisances. We all offer our respectful obeisances unto all the Vaishnava devotees of the Lord who can fulfill the desires of everyone, just like desire trees, and who are full of compassion for the fallen souls. Thanks, everybody, for participating in this enlivening program. Thanks our good friend Das Avatar from Australia. I see you've got a lot of beautiful pictures behind you on the wall. Very nice. I see Pier Angelo's got the beautiful picture of Lord Damodar, Ram Raghava with the beautiful picture of the original Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. Thanks Krishna Kata, Vishwakarma Prabhu in Yaltopec, Mexico, Rochita Machadi in frozen, snow overburdened Montreal, and everybody participating in this program. We invite all of you to come back on Thursday evening at 5:00 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, corresponding to 8:00 p.m. Eastern Time, Eastern Board Time. And we wish everybody a very happy Ekadasi. Hare Krishna, all glories to Śrīla Prabhupāda.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.